Hi guys, how's it going? How you doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am doing a really fun video, a video that I have done before in the past, but I thought I would bring it back up to today, to today's present, and it is my purchases from Sephora 2021. The idea is we're going to dig in, we're going to figure out what I purchased last year from Sephora. Just a reminder, last year my theme for my beauty budget was quality over quantity. So we're going to see if I minded that in my purchases from Sephora or not. I have pictures to show you, and we're going to talk about some things that I think is just a little bit odd, like why did I do that? But let's dig into this, let's see where we're at, and we'll go from there. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm so happy to have you here today. I am a lover of all things high-end, colorful beauty and self-care. I also work as a district leader for Ulta Beauty, so I get a lot of education in my position. I love to bring you all that education. You're also going to be seeing some reviews here, some hauls here, and just general makeup chit-chat, which is what today's video is all about, because I like to talk about makeup. I pick you, Pikachu. I'm hoping that you also pick me. Hopefully that soothes your soul and you'll want to subscribe before you go. With that said, let's roll into this right now. I'm anxious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the things that I purchased from Sephora in 2021. All right, so I have some pictures. I'm going to scooch so that you guys will be able to see the pictures. I'll have plenty of room to stick them up in here. But I have some pictures of my carts, my overall purchases from Sephora in 2021. Your in-store purchases don't show up in your history from what I can gather. But I only purchased from Sephora in-store one time, and it was because I had received a Natasha Denona 28 pen palette from my man, the love of my life, and it was a palette I already had. So I took that palette, it's like a $238 palette. I took it back to Sephora, and he paid shipping, he paid tax, of course, all the things, because he is not a Sephora member. So I got all that money and I used that money to purchase other things, but I don't have that in here because it wasn't purchases that I made as far as quality over quantity. I just didn't think it was right to put gifts in here. Let's start. So first and foremost, I didn't purchase from Sephora in 2021 for the first time until April. And in April they had their, their Rouge event, or their sale event, in which Rouge gets 20% off, VIB gets 15%, and the rest of the world gets 10%. Isn't that what it is? I think that's what it is. I am Rouge. I am an equal opportunity shopper, I like to tell everybody. So I shop wherever I dang well want to, and even though I work for Ulta, there are still some brands at Sephora that Ulta doesn't carry. Granted, that's few and far between these days. My ultimate favorite brand is Natasha Denona, so I will continue to shop at Sephora for Natasha Denona as long as it's there and not at Ulta. So the very first purchase I made from Sephora is my April 9th purchase during their Rouge event. I did purchase something for Grace, but in my own purchases, I purchased a Cinema Secrets, a Rare Beauty Cream Blush, still in my collection. I actually don't love this blush. I think I've reviewed it already for you guys. The Fenty Eavesdrop, one of my favorite foundations these days. Honestly, I will continue to repurchase that foundation over and over and over again as long as it's available. And Fenty is now available at Ulta Beauties, so I will be purchasing that from Ulta Beauty in the future. I also purchased the Natasha Denona Glam palette. It wasn't my favorite, if I'm honest. It would probably rank down in the bottom 7 because it just wasn't, it had 5 whole mattes in that palette. I really like a lot more mattes than that in my eyeshadow palettes, and the reason why is because most of my eye look is a matte eye look. So with only 5 mattes in that palette, I felt like every eye look I did looked almost identical to the one before it. So it wasn't my favorite eyeshadow palette, and I know that makes me so abnormal because everybody else on this platform thinks that it's fantastic. The next thing on this list is the Dior Backstage, another favorite for me. I cannot believe I waited as long as I did to try this foundation. It's a great foundation. It's a face and body, so you can put it on your body. Biggest reason why is because it doesn't transfer. I think that's why it's listed as a face and body. It has such a nice level of coverage, but feels like a skin tint. Like it moves, it's breathable, it doesn't sink into fine lines, and it's just crazy incredible. So I would continue to purchase that. So happy to have that in my life. I also purchased the Natasha Denona Circo Loco palette. It is up there. Also another palette that I'm just not sure that I love, to be honest. That one would definitely rank in the bottom 5. I think I even went as far as to say that one would rank in the bottom like 3 in my Natasha Denona collection at one point in time. I don't know that I feel that anymore, but it just wasn't my favorite. Like, and everybody lost their shit about it because it was Natasha Denona colorful. But man, some of the shadows in that palette that should have been amazing were just not great. So not my favorite, not my favorite. Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. Now I purchased this because one of my subscribers told me how amazing this palette was, and you know, it was all over out there on the YouTubes that it was a great, crazy, awesome palette, and I agree. It is a great, crazy, awesome palette, but there were parts of this palette that I absolutely hated. If I had it to do over again, I maybe wouldn't have purchased it. It's just not one that I think to pull for, but man, the shimmers in this palette are beautiful, like crazy beautiful. But the mattes look like every other Huda Beauty palette that I have, in my opinion. There was a couple of mattes in that palette that I really, really loved, but there was also a couple of a grand majority of mattes in that palette that I thought were the same mattes that I could find in my Huda Beauty Nude. And Huda is one of those formulas that's kind of hit and miss often. But this one is probably one of the better Huda Beauty formulas, honestly. But it's just so much like every other Huda palette that it wasn't my favorite either. I do have a palette roulette on that as well. Y'all, I'm just not sure I'll be able to stick up all the palette roulettes on the palettes that I have in this. And if I can't, then I will definitely put the playlist up there. Please go look and see my true tea, like, observations and experiences with these palettes, because you're gonna get more information on them and how I feel about them in those videos. The last thing that I purchased from this purchase was the Fenty cream blush, and you know, I don't know, maybe cream blush just isn't my thing, but like Patrick Ta cream blushes I think did me dirty, because I love those cream blushes. They last forever on my face, and I have really super dry skin, so usually a blush doesn't last super long on my face anyways. My skin just kind of sucks it up. But those Patrick Ta blushes last forever. So when I purchased the Rare Beauty one and the Fenty one, I was like, these are going to be bomb. These are going to be so bomb. Because like Rare Beauty, hello Selena Gomez, but also Fenty is one of my favorite makeup lines out there for base makeup. I just didn't love them. I just didn't love them. So there's that. I mean, the Fenty one I definitely like better than the Rare Beauty one, because it's a little bit more hard and you need to like really kind of like warm it up, right? The Rare Beauty one is like straight, you could dig your finger clear down to the bottom first touch. It's too soft in my opinion. All of this is still in my collection. Super great news. I spent $340.61 on this, and that was with a discount of $78.70 for the Rouge event, so 20% off. I'm really surprised though, it was like April before I purchased from them. I think that honestly, like when I went into this purchase, I think that the purchase that I made was definitely quality over quantity, because everything on this list really should have been amazing. The Natasha Denona palettes, really, I collect her palettes, so, and I know her formula, and I love her formula. She's my favorite. So I think that those really were with the mindset that these were quality purchases, and they really were. The Fenty Eavesdrops and the Dior Backstage ended up being quality. I mean, granted, they were new to me, but they ended up being quality because they're two of my favorite foundations at this point in time. The cream blushes, I think, were quality as well, but I think like it just didn't pan out well, and maybe I am just not a cream blush person at the end of the day, right? So my next purchase from Sephora was April 29th. I guess maybe their sale was maybe still going on. I got a discount on this purchase also of almost $45, so $44.65. So maybe it was still going on. I cannot remember the dates of their sales back at that point, you know, a year ago. But I got a Sephora scalp massager. This is something that I bought for my daughter. She doesn't wash her hair super great, and I bought it so that she could really get a good scrub in her scalp and of her hair when she does wash her hair. Does she use it all the time? I don't think so, but I do think that it was a quality purchase. I think that when she does use it, it's a really good scrub to her scalp, and her hair looks phenomenal. The second thing in that is the Natasha Denona Foundation X Plus. This is also one of my favorite foundations. It was a repurchase of that foundation. I love that foundation. It's a beautiful foundation. Really nice medium to full coverage foundation, buildable, and it's breathable, sits on your skin really nicely, wears away really beautifully, so I love that foundation. The next two things were from the company IPSY. These were almost like Ulta Beauty price point for like high-end price point versus luxury price point, but almost drugstore price point, honestly. IPSY Beauty, I bought their cream blush and their bronzer. I bought both thinking that the bronzer was also cream. The bronzer was not cream. The bronzer was powder. But both of them I really honestly love. The blush, I really think that is a great cream blush. So obviously I was on kind of a cream kick the first few months of the year. And then the Denona Myricks Lightwork palette was a highlighting palette that I just had in my Shop My Stash last rotation. Oh my god, that is such a beautiful highlighting palette. I typically don't buy face palettes because I won't pull for them very often, but that one was so pretty and I love it. So that purchase was $93.43, and again I had a discount on that purchase of $44.65. Then we move into May. May 11th was my next purchase from Sephora, and that one was the same time that the Natasha Denona Zendo came out. So Natasha Denona Zendo is what I purchased. I purchased that, but I also, because God knows I can't just purchase one thing from Sephora for God knows why, I also purchased the Pat McGrath Blitz Astral Quad, which I recently reviewed. It's this one here. It's my favorite Pat McGrath palette. I have two of her 10-pound palettes and two mini palettes, and her holiday one from 2020, not the one from 2021. That Blitz Astral Quad is my favorite Pat McGrath palette. I think it is stunning. It is so beautiful. I'll link it up in the cards. I also purchased this balm. This is Pat McGrath Balm. You guys can see how dark that is. It's really a very pretty, like, deep purple balm, but I hardly ever wear it because it makes me look sick almost wearing it. So I did spend $179.61 in that purchase in May. I do think that they're quality. Like, let's be honest. Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona are never going to be about quantity just because of the sheer price of them. The Zendo palette was one of her $65 palettes. I do have that palette still. Again, not one of my favorites. I don't think that Natasha Denona purchases in 2021 were fantastic on the palette load, except for maybe my large retro, which is one of the ones that I purchased with the recoup of the monies that I got from the Natasha Denona palette that I took back that I got for my birthday. I think that retro palette was amazing. But as I look through the list of the palettes that I purchased from Sephora in 2021 that were Natasha Denona, I think I should have steered clear of Natasha Denona palettes in 2021 if I'm honest, because none of them were my favorite. The Astral Quad I told you I love. The balm I told you I like it. I just don't wear it very often because it does make me look sick. Alright, so the next purchase that I made from Sephora was in July. It was July 25th. I don't know why I purchased from Sephora at this point, because there isn't much in here that I can think of that I just don't know why I purchased, and maybe it'd burr up my butt. I don't know. So I did get the Laneige Glowy Balm in the purple tube. I think it's right there. So I do use it. I still use it. I still love it. It tastes like gummy bears. It's amazing. I also got the Laneige sleeping mask that's also sitting right with it. I'm using it currently an awful lot. My lips are so chapped. I've let them get so bad. And I did pull it out and start using it all over again. I love Laneige lip products. I think that they're fantastic. The next thing I picked up was the Ciate Mermaid Glow. I have no idea why I picked up this highlighter, if I'm honest. This was a quantity over quality product. I think I purchased it because of its beautiful packaging and because it was so pretty. It looks so pretty. Never buy products for that. I have not used this highlighter one time. As a matter of fact, I kicked myself in the ass all the time because every time I open up my highlighting drawer, I see that highlight and I'm like, why did you purchase that? Why did you do it? It's silver. Like, silver has never looked great on me as a highlight. It never will. I don't know why I purchased that. I also purchased a Tower 28 cream blush. I like it. I don't love it. There's that. I think it maybe is the wrong color for me. I do think that that one lasts forever. I do think that that one I have a greater time blending out than I do other ones, but I'm not sure 100% that I should have went a cream blush route last year either. I also picked up the Dior Powder No Powders. So this was against my better judgment, but this was a Samantha March made me buy it item. She raved and raved and raved about this powder, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try it. I'm not a powder girl, but I'm going to try it. I love this powder. I would venture to say I love this powder more than I love the Charlotte Tilbury Airless Flawless Finish one. Love this powder. I would purchase it over and over again. The only thing that I hate about it is that I think it gets hard pan very easily, and I don't use anything in it but a brush, so I don't know why it's getting hard pan. The next two things I picked up in this order were the Makeup by Mario sticks. I got a contour stick and a blush stick from him, and I love them. I think that I maybe got the wrong blush. I also don't think that these blend out like super easy unless you start on a brush versus putting it straight on your face, so just remember that. I think that these are gorgeous. I love them. So definitely quality. I also picked up the Natasha Denona Mini Retro. This is a palette that I love from my Natasha Denona palette purchases last year. Granted, this is a palette that wasn't new in 2021. It's just new to me in 2021. I don't know why I hesitated for so long picking up that palette, because it's one of my favorite minis from Natasha Denona. And then I also picked up another Cinema Secrets. Here's the curiosity for me. I picked up a Cinema Secrets in April, and then I picked up another one in July. Usually Cinema Secrets lasts me a good 6 months before I have to pick up another one. But that's not the last time I picked up a Cinema Secrets. There is a third time I picked up a Cinema Secrets in the year 2021. And I don't know what was going on and why I picked up a third Cinema Secrets. But then I looked where I store my backup Cinema Secrets, and there's a full damn container there. So why did I pick up a third one? I have still half of one sitting. I know that you guys can't see it, but up here behind the scenes is all of my like cleaning product. There's a mirror and whatnot. I have a half full Cinema Secret sitting there, so God knows when I'll get to that full one, but there's that. Okay, so I think that my July 25th purchases were decent. The only thing that I can see that I didn't need, shouldn't have purchased in this purchase, is that Ciate highlighter. This purchase was $280.24. So far in the year 2021, as of July 25th, I had spent $893.89 at just Sephora. Now, mind you, I also spend a grip ton of money at Ulta because that's where I work, number one, but that's also where I buy my makeup mostly. I don't even know what to say. In the grand scheme of things, it's much less than I have spent in years previous at Sephora. So let's just keep on moving through this. On November 5th, I picked up one item, but that was for my friend Grace, so I'm not going to count this towards this. I think that that was a palette that was on sale. It was 50% off. And curiously, it's the Natasha Denona Love. Curiously, you can order it now from Sephora, but it can't be shipped to the United States. What is that about? Isn't that weird? That's weird to me. When I was looking at it and taking pictures, screenshots for this video, it said I could order it, but it said I couldn't have it shipped to the US. So I wonder if that's why it was half off at this point in time, like they were taking it off of the US websites and only selling it abroad. I have no idea what's going on with that. But the Natasha Denona Love for Grace is what I picked up November 5th. That was a Grace purchase, not a Donna purchase, so that one isn't counted in my total. And then on November 13th was so I went from July all the way to November 13th before I spent any more money at Sephora on my own for me. And in that purchase, I bought the Pat McGrath Blush and Glow trio that came out for holiday. It's right here. I wanted just one of her single blushes, but I also wanted one of her single highlights. And this was just a little bit more than the cost of a single blush. And I got two blushes and a highlight. Maybe not the full size, but that's fine. That's good enough for me. If you've been around here long enough, you know it takes 800 years to go through a blush or a highlight because I've told you so. So having that wasn't an issue for me. So I did buy that. This is when I bought my third Cinema Secrets for the year. I also bought the Fenty Glossy Posse. Now, I love Fenty glosses, so I bought the Glossy Posse. In addition, that Glossy Posse actually had a full-size cream, which they typically don't. Usually it's for minis. So I was really excited about that because that was one that I hadn't tried yet. I haven't used any of these glosses yet. And then I also bought the Natasha Denona Biba. This purchase, I spent $228.50. And this did have a discount of $52.80. So this is part of the Rouge event that was happening in November last year. And I don't think that I'm mad at any of the items that fell on this. Like, I could have had 20 items on that. I think that the one from the previous Rouge event did have 20 items on it. So I could have spent a lot more. I didn't. I only got 4 things, and those 4 things were things that I knew I was going to love and enjoy and would bring into my collection anyways. And then I made a secondary purchase on the 13th because on the 13th of October or something like that, I purchased a Rouge reward with points. I've been trying to spend all of my points as I accrue, from that point forward, as I accrue them, because I don't want points to be the reason why I stay Rouge at Sephora. I really just want to get out of the mindset of I need to be Rouge, I need to be diamonds. Like, that doesn't need to actually happen. So I purchased a Rouge reward with the points that I had in my point system, and therefore had $100 to spend at Sephora, but I couldn't do it during the Rouge event and get 20% off, obviously, right? So instead, I turned around and did a whole nother order that came out to $177 minus my reward cash that I have from having a Sephora credit card of $15. So I had a $115 discount on this order and ended up spending $67.08 on 2 Danessa Myricks Twin Flame Liquid Eyeshadows and the Pat McGrath Mothership Midnight Sun Palette. Now, that Midnight Sun Palette I have reviewed. I will stick it up in the cards for you. I actually really kind of dig this color story, even though it's definitely not a color story that I would typically like steer towards. This Midnight Sun palette had been on my list for quite some time, but knowing I was not a cool tone girl, I was like, I'm not purchasing that. I will never use it. I kind of dug this palette. So I'm really happy that I picked that up. Really happy to have the Danessa Myricks Twin Flames. When I purchased the Danessa Myricks Lightwork palette, I really wanted to purchase those Twin Flames too, but they weren't anywhere to be found on Sephora, so I just didn't. So as soon as I knew that they were on there, I was like, yes, please. I ended up spending $67.08 on that whole plethora of stuff because of my $115 in discounts I just didn't get the 20% off on them, but I think I still got a hell of a discount. So in total at Sephora last year, I spent $1,189.47. This is just slightly over what it takes, well, almost $200 over what it takes to be rouge at Sephora. I really did not think I was going to get rouge at Sephora for 2022. I really didn't. But in addition to what I spent, you know, I also purchased things for my friend Grace. So I ended up spending with Grace's items in total $1,351.87 at Sephora. I really am proud of the purchases that I made at Sephora last year because I have spent significantly more money at Sephora in the past and gotten just a bunch of shit, if I'm honest. So I really do think that even though I have some items from 2021 that I purchased that, you know, maybe aren't going to see a whole lot of lifespan in my collection, I'm talking to you, cream blushes. Like, I really do think that everything I purchased was with intent of thinking it through. Like, cream blush was something that I was wanting to try out this year, so I did purchase quite a few. Some of them I really like, some of them I don't, some of them I'm kind of on the fence on. But that was a thought process that I had been having for quite some time. It wasn't like a impulse spend, right? I spent a lot of money on brands that I know and love, Natasha Denona being one of them. It's not my fault, nor hers, that these are palettes that I didn't really think are, you know, fantastic. Will I use them? Yes. Will they stay in my collection? Yes. At the end of the day, I will always choose Natasha Denona over something else. I could probably live my life with just my Natasha Denona collection and eyeshadows and be perfectly fine with it. So I'm really happy to have the things that I brought in. At the end of the day, I do not think anything in this spend was spent frivolously, and I think that that is what I'm most proud of, because also it was about half the amount of money that I have spent before at Sephora. I only purchase makeup at Sephora. I don't get any other services at Sephora. At least at Ulta Beauty, I get my hair done, I get my face done, I get my brows done. You know, the spend there is going to be more just because of those three items. With that being said, that's it. That's all I have for you. What did you guys spend at Sephora last year? I would be interested to know. Are you happy with everything that you purchased at Sephora last year? Did you enjoy this? I would be interested to know those answers as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I do hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you'll want to give it a thumbs up, like it, love it, hate it, you know, something down there. Let me know. I hope that 2022 is treating y'all kindly so far. I hope that you and yours are well, healthy, safe, good, living your best life in this chaotic world. I also hope that you're loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, friends, bye.